Have you ever wondered why, despite having everything, you still feel empty inside? Maybe you have a good job, a warm home, friends who care. And yet, every night, there's a quiet ache that rises within you. No one else sees it. No one knows. But you do. It's not loud. It's not always clear. But it's there, tugging softly at your heart. Like a question without an answer. We've learned to call it pressure, stress, anxiety. But perhaps its true name is suffering. For as long as we've been human, we've tried to make sense of suffering. We blame our past. We blame the world. We point to others who hurt us. We try to fix it, by working harder, scrolling faster, staying busier. But do you ever notice? The more you run, the more hollow it feels. The more you try to forget, the more the pain returns. Maybe, just maybe, it's time to stop. Not to give up, but to come home. The Buddha didn't teach us how to escape suffering. He didn't promise a perfect life without pain or loss. He didn't ask us to worship or believe blindly. He simply asked two deeply human questions. Why do we suffer? And is there a way to end it? Those questions weren't meant for monks only. They were meant for you, for me, for anyone willing to look inward. Because no one else can answer them for you. And no one else can walk your path. This is not a religious lecture. This is not a philosophy class. I'm not here to give you spiritual concepts or distant doctrines. I'm simply here to offer a quiet invitation. To pause. To breathe. To feel. And to listen, gently, honestly, to your own experience. Can you feel the sadness you've hidden beneath your smile? Can you feel the heaviness you carry, even when everything seems fine? Can you feel the part of you that longs for rest, for peace, for meaning? Because only when we feel our suffering fully, can we begin to understand what the Buddha truly saw. The Buddha didn't see a broken world. He saw a world that misunderstands itself. We suffer not because life is cruel, but because we cling to what we can't keep. We're afraid not because life changes, but because we resist what's already unfolding. We're tired, not because we're weak, but because we've forgotten how to be still. The path home doesn't begin somewhere far away. It starts right here, where you are now. In this very breath. In this quiet moment. In your choice to stop and look inward. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to figure it all out. You just need to return to what's already here. The Buddha once said, "Be a lamp unto yourself. No one else can save you. You must walk the path." That lamp is not in anyone else's hands. It's already within you. In your ability to pause. To see clearly. And to awaken to this moment. So no, I'm not asking you to believe in anything. I'm not asking you to adopt a new identity or religion. All I'm offering is this. Take a breath. Come home to yourself. And listen. Because perhaps what you've been searching for all this time isn't out there, but quietly waiting. Right where you are. We're not afraid of life, we're afraid to feel. There was once a man in his 40s who, from the outside, looked like he had it all. He owned a successful business. Lived in a modern home in the city, drove a luxury car, had a packed schedule, and was often invited to speak about how to achieve success. But one evening, after attending yet another business gathering, he didn't go inside his house. Instead, he sat in his car for 2 hours. He didn't cry. He didn't think any specific thoughts. He just felt hollow. As if he had wandered too far from himself, and no longer knew the way back. The next day, he drove to a forest monastery. He wasn't religious, nor did he expect anything to change. But he quietly asked the monk there if he could stay for a few days, just to rest. And then he said something the monk never forgot. I'm not afraid of failure. I'm not afraid of losing money. I'm afraid of what I'll feel when I have nothing left to distract me. Most of us don't fear life itself. We fear the raw experience of feeling. We fear the emptiness that shows up when no one texts back. We fear the helplessness of watching someone we love suffer, while being powerless to stop it. We fear uncertainty, not because it's new, but because it strips us of control. And underneath all those fears, if we're honest, what we're truly afraid of is meeting ourselves. To feel deeply isn't easy. Because to feel deeply means we must sit with sadness without escaping. We must breathe through hurt without fixing it right away. We must let the silence speak, without drowning it in noise. To do that, we need one rare thing. Stillness. Not just external silence, but inner stillness. A quiet, open space within that dares to feel without flinching. The Buddha spoke of two kinds of pain. One physical pain, which arises from the body, sickness, aging, injury. Two mental suffering, which is born from resistance to reality. For example, a toothache is physical pain. But when your mind adds, "Why is this happening to me? I don't have time for this right now. I always have the worst luck." That's mental suffering. It's not the event itself. It's your reaction to it, your story about it, that creates the greater burden. The more we resist, the more we suffer. The more we deny, the louder the emotion becomes. The more we run, the more it chases us. And here lies the essence of what the Buddha really taught. He didn't come to explain the world. He didn't offer comforting beliefs. He didn't promise perfection. He simply invited us to see clearly. Don't believe. Don't speculate. Just look. A recurring message throughout early Buddhist teachings. He didn't say the world is good or bad. He said, see it as it is. No filters. No labels. Just clear awareness. But how can we see clearly when we're always avoiding the present moment? That's where mindfulness comes in. Not a trendy lifestyle. Not forced calmness. But the quiet strength to be fully present with what is. For example, when sadness arises, let it come. Don't say, I shouldn't feel this. Don't distract yourself with busyness. Just sit with it. Breathe. And quietly notice, this is sadness. It's here. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to push it away. Simply seeing it clearly weakens the grip of suffering. Someone once asked the Buddha, how do I overcome suffering? The Buddha replied, you don't overcome it. You see it clearly. It's not a solution. Not a trick. But it's the only way. Because suffering isn't something to defeat. It's something to understand deeply enough that it no longer controls you. When the man left the monastery 7 days later, he wasn't a different person. He still had meetings to attend. Still had deadlines. Still had pressure. But something inside him had changed forever. He no longer feared his own emotions. He could sit with sadness. He could breathe through anxiety. And most importantly, he stopped asking, how do I stop feeling this? And began asking, why have I feared feeling this for so long? Life was never your enemy. It's just a flowing stream of moments. What hurts is not life itself, but the way we resist it, cling to it, fear it. And the Buddha, in the quietest way possible, offered us something priceless. The invitation to come home. To feel fully. To stop running. And to see, gently and honestly, what is. The truth about suffering, not a punishment, but a doorway. During a 21-day meditation retreat in the northern hills of India, a young practitioner cried quietly through the first 3 nights. He hadn't come out of curiosity. He had come after losing both of his parents in a tragic car accident, just weeks apart. The grief was too vast for words. He didn't feel anger or sadness in any clear way, just a silent numbness stretching across his heart like a frozen sea. Death had arrived too suddenly. And the questions that now haunted him had no answers. Why me? Why did they die before I could care for them? How can I possibly live with this emptiness? In the first few meditation sessions, he couldn't sit still. Every time he closed his eyes, the images of the accident returned. His breath became shallow. His hands trembled. And a quiet rage, at life, at himself. Even at the monks who seemed so calm, burned just beneath the surface. We're often told to be strong. To move on. To stay positive. To let go. But these well-meant phrases can become chains. Because deep suffering doesn't disappear through willpower. Suffering transforms only when it is fully seen and deeply understood. In the Buddha's teaching, suffering is not a mistake. It is not a punishment for having lived wrongly. It is not proof of bad karma or failure. The Buddha looked directly into the heart of suffering, and named it with extraordinary clarity. Suffering is a truth, not to be denied. But it is also a doorway. A doorway to seeing life clearly. To touching what is real. And to beginning the path of freedom. Most of us treat suffering as an enemy. When it comes, we shrink. We numb ourselves. We run. We blame others for hurting us. We blame ourselves for being weak. We blame life for being unfair. But in the deep silence of meditation, when there's no one left to blame, when all distractions fall away, we begin to hear something we've never heard before. Suffering has not come to destroy you. It has come to awaken you. The meditation teacher at the retreat didn't offer long explanations. He simply said one sentence to the young man after the 3rd night. If you can sit still with your pain, even for 1 minute, it will teach you more than 100 books ever could. From that day on, the young man stopped trying to suppress the pain. He began to sit with it. Just his breath. Just the tightness in his chest. Just the waves of grief rising and falling, like the tide. No judgment. No fixing. No escape. Just being present, completely, with what was already here. And something changed. He began to realize that his pain wasn't just about loss. It was also about love left unspoken. Gratitude never fully expressed. And the awakening to the truth that life is fragile, and every moment is a gift we won't get twice. He wrote in his journal on day 12 of the retreat. I used to think I was only grieving. But now I see, this grief is also growing my heart. Suffering is a great teacher, if you're willing to sit down and learn. Not to learn why this happened to me, but to learn how to stay present with pain, without running. To open rather than to contract. To see clearly instead of reacting blindly. The Buddha taught. In the ocean of suffering, if the mind is clear, suffering becomes a doorway to truth. The truth does not harm you. It is our resistance to the truth that causes pain. That young man didn't walk out of the retreat into a life without sadness. He still missed his parents. He still had days where the grief rose again. But the great shift was this. He no longer feared his pain. He no longer called it the enemy. He called it the guide. Every time suffering returned, he didn't fight it. He listened. And through listening, his heart became more open, more steady, more free. Perhaps you, too, are suffering right now. Maybe you've lost someone. Or something important has slipped away. Maybe you're confused about who you are or where your path is leading. You don't need to have the answers today. You don't need to heal in a hurry. You just need one thing. stay. And breathe with what is real. No escape. No denial. No forced courage. Just presence. A sincere willingness to sit with what life is offering you now. Because sometimes, suffering is the most honest invitation life will ever offer you. To wake up. Running away is the root of suffering. Two people once walked through a dark forest at night. They both heard the same wind rustling through the trees, felt the same chill creeping through the air, and stared into the same blackness ahead. The first man froze, heart pounding, breath trembling, then turned and ran. He didn't know where he was going. He only knew one thing, he was afraid. The second man was also afraid. But instead of fleeing, he stopped. He stood still. He closed his eyes. He listened to his heartbeat, to the wind, to the fear rising like waves in his chest, and he did nothing. He simply stayed. He was present. He breathed. A few minutes passed. His eyes adjusted. The wind no longer seemed menacing. And he saw something clearly. The fear had never been in the forest. The fear was inside his own mind. We do not suffer because of fear, we suffer because we refuse to stay with it. We suffer not because life is cruel, but because we are constantly running from our own emotions. When we're sad, we bury ourselves in work. When we're lonely, we chase distractions, endless scrolling, shallow relationships. When we're hurt, we fake strength, say, "I'm fine," while quietly falling apart. But we forget one essential truth. Whatever you avoid will continue to control you. The emotions you don't face become the pain that owns you. The Buddha never told us to escape suffering. He never said we must endure it blindly, either. He didn't offer beliefs to cling to. He didn't sell blind hope or comforting illusions. He offered a path, a way to see clearly for ourselves. A path not for the faithful, but for anyone courageous enough to turn inward. He didn't say, "Believe me, and you'll be saved." He said, "No one saves you but yourself. No one can and no one may. You yourself must walk the path." This quote may sound simple, but it is one of the most liberating and terrifying truths ever spoken. It offers no sugarcoating, no heavenly promise, no easy answers. It simply reveals. Only you can see what needs to be seen. Only you can walk through your fear. No one can meditate for you. No one can heal your wounds from the inside. No one else can awaken your understanding. And this is where many people turn away. Because the path is not easy. There's no 5-step method to erase your pain. No mantra to make it all go away overnight. The Buddha's path is not about belief. It's about direct experience, through breath, through silence, through honest observation. You might ask, how do I know if I've been running away? Ask yourself. Do I constantly distract myself with my phone, with work, with noise? Do I avoid sadness by staying busy or pretending it's not there? Do I truly know what I'm feeling, or just know that I'm not okay? Do I listen to what my heart is saying, or always try to shut it up? If the answer is yes, then you've already discovered the root of suffering. Avoidance. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the ability to sit with fear and say, "I'm here. I'm not running anymore." In meditation, you don't need to conquer your emotions. You don't have to fix anything. You just need to be present. Even if it's sadness. Even if it's anxiety. Even if it's the ache of something long buried. Just sit with it. Like an old friend you finally stopped ignoring. And something will begin to shift. When you stop running, your suffering stops chasing you. Because suffering is not a monster. It is a part of you that's been left behind for too long. Someone once asked the Thai forest master Ajahn Chah, When I meditate, I feel afraid and restless. What should I do? Ajahn Chah smiled and said, invite them in. If fear knocks, open the door. If restlessness comes, pour it some tea. They are not enemies. They are your teachers. And this is the heart of it. Every time you sit with your suffering instead of fleeing, you take one step toward awakening. Every time you stay with discomfort instead of numbing it, you light another inch of the path ahead. You stop needing someone to rescue you. Because the light you've been searching for isn't out there. It's inside. In your courage. In your stillness. In your honesty. A flame cannot shine when it's being tossed around in the wind. Your heart is the same. Only when you stop running can your own light become visible. And in that light, suffering no longer feels like punishment. It becomes a teacher. A guide. A silent but sacred invitation to know yourself more deeply than ever before. Don't take my word for it. Don't blindly believe any scripture. Not even the Buddha. That is the spirit of the Dharma. Not to believe, but to see. Not to memorize, but to live. Not to rely, but to walk the path yourself. And the torch is waiting. In your next breath. In your next moment of staying. In the next fear you choose not to run from. The journey back to yourself. Have you ever felt like you've been away from yourself for a long time? As if you've been living like a machine, doing what needs to be done, saying what's expected, smiling at the right time. But inside, there's a quiet emptiness. Not sadness. Not pain. Just a quiet disconnection. A feeling that somewhere along the way, you lost touch with yourself. In Buddhism, we don't speak of chasing happiness far away. We speak of coming home. Because the peace, the freedom, the truth we seek, they were never gone. They were only covered up by the noise, the doing, the roles we wear each day. Suffering doesn't end through understanding theories. You could read 100 books. Listen to countless talks. Memorize the Four Noble Truths, understand impermanence and non-self. But if your mind is still being pulled by thoughts that won't stop, memories that still haunt you, or future hopes that cloud the now, then all that knowledge has not yet set you free. Suffering begins to dissolve only when you return fully to the present. Not by escaping. Not by analyzing. But by feeling deeply, fully, and honestly. Try this right now. Sit quietly. No need to do anything special. Just let your body relax. Gently close your eyes. And simply notice your breath, exactly as it is. No controlling. No forcing. Just feeling. Air coming in, and going out. You don't have to experience anything spiritual. Just recognize this simple truth. You are alive. You are breathing. And every breath is a miracle, because it brings you home. The journey back is not a search outward. It is a return inward. To the deepest, quietest part of you. And on that path, you begin to see. Every emotion rises and passes, like clouds across the sky. Every thought is just a wave, not the whole ocean. Every tightness in your body carries a message, an invitation to pause and listen. A young practitioner once asked his teacher, "Master, I've studied so much, yet my mind is still restless, and my heart still suffers." The teacher smiled and replied, "Because you've studied much, but you've never truly been present, even for one moment." That one sentence brought deep silence to the student. And from that day on, he changed. He stopped chasing answers in books. He began to look closely at a single leaf, without rushing. He ate with mindfulness, feeling every texture, every movement of his jaw and tongue. He walked in silence, and began to see the earth beneath his feet, the wind against his face. And something he had never seen before, each moment is a miracle. We often think enlightenment is something grand, unreachable. But the Buddha taught that awakening begins with mindfulness. Being fully present in each moment. You don't need to go to a temple. You don't need to chant for hours. You just need to be present. When you wash the dishes. When you eat your meal. When you look at someone you love. As if this were the last time. Just know that you are breathing. Just live honestly, without masks, without rushing to the past or the future. Now. If you're ready. Let's practice a short moment of mindfulness. A bridge to bring you back to yourself. Mindfulness practice, return to your breath. Find a quiet place to sit. Let your shoulders soften. Feel the weight of your feet resting on the ground. Place your hands gently on your lap. Close your eyes, only if it feels safe to do so. Now. Just breathe, softly and naturally. Feel the coolness of the air entering through your nose. And the warmth of it as you exhale. You don't need to try. The breath already knows what to do. You're just observing it. Nothing to fix. Nothing to change. Thoughts may come. That's okay. Just smile inwardly, and return to the breath. You might silently repeat in your mind. Breathing in, I know I'm alive. Breathing out, I come home to myself. Each breath is an anchor to the present. Each breath is a gentle embrace of yourself. Just like that. Even just for 1 minute. You've returned. That is what the Buddha truly taught. Not found in books. Not in philosophies or doctrines. But in each moment you live with presence. Each time you stop running. Each time you listen inwardly. Each breath you take with love and awareness. This journey doesn't need a map. Because you were never truly lost. You just need to pause, gently, sincerely, and say, I am here. I am breathing. I am alive. I have come home. A life no longer afraid of suffering, is a life of freedom. Suffering is not something we can escape forever. It is part of being human, like shadows are part of the earth when the sun sets. No one lives a life without pain. The question is not, how can I avoid suffering? The real question is, how can suffering stop ruling my life? There is a kind of suffering that comes and goes, like passing rain. But there is another kind, quiet and constant, etched into the heart. It seeps into how we speak, choose, love, and react. And this kind of suffering doesn't live outside of us. It lives in how we cling, resist, and identify with our emotions. We don't suffer because of what happens. We suffer because of how we react. Because we believe, I am this sadness. I am the victim of this situation. I will never overcome this. We confuse our identity with what we feel. Sad, I am a sad person. Angry, I am an angry person. Failed, I am a failure. And so, the mind contracts. Like a tiny cup trying to hold too much muddy water. But what if you're not your emotions? What if your feelings are just passing weather? And you, at your core, are like the open sky? What if you realized? There's a deeper place within you that remains untouched. Silent, steady, and vast. In that moment, suffering may still arise. But you are no longer its prisoner. You can feel pain, without being consumed by it. You can feel sadness, and still walk with strength. You can fall apart, and still breathe, still return. Freedom does not come from eliminating emotions. Freedom comes from no longer identifying with them. Look at the sky. There are stormy days. Cloudy days, days of thunder and wind. But the sky itself never disappears. Your mind is the same. It is naturally open, still, and aware. It's only hidden beneath habits, reactions, and fear. The Buddha said, the mind is the root of all suffering, and also the source of freedom. It's not the world that causes us pain, it's the mind. But that same mind, when illuminated by mindfulness and understanding, becomes the starting point of liberation. This is not philosophy. It's something you can feel. The moment you learn to observe your emotions without clinging to them, you notice a wave of anger rising. But you don't act on it. You don't lash out. You simply breathe and witness it, as if watching from a distance. And slowly, you realize, you are not the anger. You are the sky. The anger is just a cloud. A Zen master once said, "The greatest suffering is not suffering itself, but the fear of suffering. It's the fear of pain that tightens us, makes us close, makes us resist every change. And it is this resistance, this tightening, that hurts the most. But if you stop, breathe, and look directly into the fear, without running, labeling, or judging, you'll realize the fear is not as big as it seemed. You can stay with it. You can feel it. And eventually, it dissolves. And so, someone who once broke easily becomes gentle and steady. Not because they no longer feel pain, but because they are no longer ruled by pain. Someone who used to live in anxiety becomes peaceful. Not because all uncertainty is gone, but because they've learned to live with it as part of life. Someone who once feared failure becomes bold. Not because success is guaranteed, but because fear no longer drives their choices. Freedom is not the end of suffering. Freedom is not being bound by it anymore. You still live in this world, with all its losses, joys, and changes. But you live with a clear mind, an open heart, and a steady presence. You might cry, but you don't drown. You might ache, but you don't lose your way. You might be quiet, but you are never lost. A life no longer afraid of suffering, is a life truly lived. Not one of avoidance. Not one of pretending. Not one of being swept away by every emotion. It is the life where you walk through darkness, without putting out your inner light. Where you don't have to be perfect, but you are honest and awake. Silent meditation, experiencing what the Buddha taught. Before we say anything, let us begin with 2 minutes of complete silence. No background music. No moving visuals. Just stillness. Perhaps a white screen. Or a gentle ripple of water. And you, simply breathing. Silence, 2 minutes. Now, let me tell you something very simple, yet deeply transformative. Truth is not in the words. Not in scriptures. Not in doctrines. What the Buddha truly taught is found in direct experience. In that very moment you dare to meet yourself, in silence. In silence, we begin to see. The mind has never truly been silent. It is still speaking, still labeling, still trying to name everything. A moment of discomfort arises, the mind immediately calls it sadness, anger, loneliness. A situation occurs, we instantly declare, good, bad, fair, unjust. The mind cannot tolerate the unknown. It fears emptiness. So it clings to concepts, believing that by naming things, it understands them. But it is precisely this naming, this storytelling, that keeps suffering alive. We don't suffer because of the raw experience itself. We suffer because we name it, interpret it, wrap it in a personal story, and then believe that story. For example, a tightness in the chest. If you just stay still, you'll notice. It's merely energy, rising, contracting, dissolving. But when you label it as, I'm broken, I'm unloved, I'm not enough, then suffering takes form. It becomes a self. And you begin to identify with the pain. In Buddhist meditation, we don't try to end suffering. We simply observe. We sit on the shore and watch the river of experience flow. Emotions come and go. No need to fix them. No need to judge. No need to name. And something miraculous happens. When we stop clinging to the story, the suffering dissolves. We often believe, I need to understand why I'm in pain. I need to find the cause. I need to fix my past. I need to heal. But sometimes, all you truly need is to sit, breathe, and see. Nothing more. No commentary. In stillness, you'll discover a truth deeper than any theory. Suffering is a natural part of the flow. It rises and falls, like wind passing through the trees. Only when you try to hold the wind do you suffer. Only when you cling to a passing emotion, does it turn into long-term pain. In the moment you fall silent, you stop saying, I am the one who's hurt. I've been betrayed. I must overcome this. And instead, you become space itself. The open sky in which the clouds of emotion drift, without pulling you along. The Buddha never asked us to run from pain. He invited us to look deeply, without grasping, without labeling. And in that spaciousness, freedom arises. Not because suffering disappears, but because you no longer identify with it. Imagine this. You are the surface of a still lake. Each emotion is a gust of wind. If you remain steady, the ripples come and go. If you panic, the waves crash and spill over. Stillness doesn't stop the storms of life. But stillness keeps you from being swept away. A student once asked a meditation teacher, how do I know when I truly understand the Buddha's teaching? The teacher smiled and said, when you no longer need anyone to explain, because your own silence becomes the answer. And now, if you've been running for a long time, if you've grown tired of trying to figure things out, to analyze, to get through pain, then I invite you, come back. Not to conquer your emotions, not to erase the past, but simply to sit, be still, breathe, and become the spacious awareness that holds all things. You don't have to believe any teaching. You only need to experience the truth. Through your own body, your own breath, your own presence. And when you're still long enough, when the inner commentary falls quiet, when you no longer need a reason to hurt, or even a reason to heal, you'll realize, suffering was never the enemy. It was only a cloud. That dissolved when you stopped chasing it. Final message. See for yourself. There's a powerful line in the Buddhist teachings, repeated over centuries, but still alive with truth today. Don't believe something just because I said it, even if I am the Buddha. Turn inward. Observe. See for yourself. This isn't just advice. It's a key to inner freedom. The Buddha never asked us to follow blindly. He invited us to see as he saw. No one can live your life for you. No one can feel in your place. And no one can free you from suffering, except you. You may have listened to many teachings. You may have read countless books and inspirational quotes. But in the end, what matters most is your direct experience, right now. Not theory. Not belief. But the clear seeing that arises from your own heart. When you're sad, can you stay and feel it? When you're angry, can you look into it without judging yourself? When you're lost, can you breathe and remain present, instead of rushing for answers? Mindfulness is the light that helps you see. Not the world outside, but your inner world. To see your restlessness. To see your resistance. To see your fear. And beyond all that, to see the quiet awareness that's always there. You don't have to run anymore. You don't have to fight anymore. You only need to stay with yourself, honestly, and fully awake. Maybe you've been hurt. Maybe you've been disappointed. Maybe you felt you were never enough. But even those feelings, they're just clouds passing through the vast sky of your being. You are not your wounds. You are the sky. And the miracle is, the sky is never wounded. If today's practice touched something deep inside you, if there's even a quiet sense that you've been moving through life without truly being here, then maybe this is the moment. The moment to return. The moment to stop searching outward, and begin looking within. No one can give you truth. Not even the Buddha. He only said, "Here is the path. But you must walk it. Here is the light. But you must light it yourself. And if you're ready, that journey begins with a single, conscious breath. You don't need to do anything big. Just be here for each breath, with raw, honest presence. We don't offer answers. We don't promise miracles. What we offer is presence. A space where you can return each day to listen to yourself again. Here, each video is not a lesson, but a mirror that reflects your mind. Each pause is an invitation home. Each word is a doorway to deeper seeing. If today, even for a brief moment, something inside you stirred, if you feel, I want to come back, I want to live honestly, then stay with us. Subscribe to the channel. Not to follow anyone, but to have a place. To come home to yourself. When you click subscribe, you're not making a promise to anyone else. You're simply whispering a quiet vow to yourself. I will learn to live mindfully. I will learn to see things as they are. I will stop running, and start truly living. And finally, when you've looked deeply enough inside, when words fall away, when your own silence becomes the teaching, you'll understand why the Buddha never told us what to believe. Because only direct seeing liberates.